John Hemingway is most surely the guy you want to talk to if you're into the characters of Borderlands 2, seeing that he's the main designer of them all. And there's a lot of differences to notice. But instead of hearing me talk, watch this. I spent a lot of hours on the first Borderlands, and every time I started up the game, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try another character. But I ended up playing the soldier. I loved the soldier. I loved the turret. And actually, we just got to play on the new game, of course. And I immediately went to the soldier again. So please sell me on the new characters and tell me what's so special about them.
All the characters are amazing. So Axton is the commando. He's most like Roland, the soldier from the first game. So one of the first things that you'll notice about Axton right off the bat is if you look through his skill trees, his skills are very aggressive. Now there's a lot of skills in there that will change the nature of how he uses his deployable turret. So for example, one of my favorite combinations is you get the longbow skill, and then you get the nuke skill. Now, what longbow does is that this allows you that whenever you deploy the turret will teleport out to the precise location where your crosshairs were. So it becomes very pinpoint accurate. Now, what nuke does is that wherever your turret deploys, it sets off a small nuclear explosion, doing a ton of damage and pushing back all the enemies nearby. So now the great thing is you combine both of these together, and you effectively have a sniper shot pinpoint nuke wherever you want on the battlefield. Right there. Everything dies. So, and you'll find a lot of combinations in there. Another really fantastic one is he has a skill called Double Up. Now, what this skill does is it adds an additional gun on top of his turret. So now when it shoots, it's going bang, 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 bang. Now, where this is really interesting is it also changes the damage type of the bullets that the turret's firing. So it fires a new damage type. This damage type is called Slag. This is new to Borderlands 2. It's kind of our co-op damage type. What Slag does is when you slag an enemy, what it does is now that enemy will take bonus damage from other sources. So you get that skill, you deploy the turret, it starts shooting things, and it's slagging the enemies, which means it now takes bonus damage when you shoot it. So it's basically setting them up and you're knocking him down. So it slags the enemy, he dies. Picks another target, slags him, and goes down. So really fantastic in co-op, also really fantastic in single player.
You pretty much gone ahead and redesigned all the other characters, though. You had Brick before, where you now have, I guess the equivalent is, or the upgrade is the gunzerker, right? Mm-hmm. What's so special about him?
About the gunzerker? Well, the big thing is he can use 2 guns, and we decided to Borderlands it up, which means any 2 guns. You want to go do 2 rocket launchers? You can do that. 2 shotguns? That's fine. You want to mix and match? That's great. It's just fun. It's everything you always really wanted to do with dual wielding you can finally do. The thing that's really great about the gunzerker is that it combines there's a lot of strategies in picking my guns. So I'll put a shotgun in this gun, or in this hand, so I can drop enemy shields, and then I put a fire gun in this hand, and then I can light them on fire and let them burn after I've dropped their shields, and I sort of combine these 2 things together. Or maybe I put slag in one hand and a rocket launcher in this hand. So there's actually a lot of depth in combining those two weapons together. So that's something that's really fantastic about the gunzerker. But the other thing that's great about him is that while he's gunzerking, he goes into sort of this rage state where he gets a whole bunch of damage reduction. He regenerates health, and he also regenerates ammunition. So you combine all these things together, and now you hit the button. Now it's destroy everything in the room mode, which is spectacularly fun. And it only gets better as you add in additional skills. So for example, one of his skills is called Keep Firing. And what it does is as long as you keep holding down the triggers, your fire rate keeps getting faster and faster and faster. So where this is great, now this is really where regenerating ammunition becomes very, very handy. So you gunzerk, you start holding down the triggers, and it's bang, 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 and you're just murdering absolutely everything in the room, and you just go on this crazy rampage. And so what the fantastic thing about the gunzerker is that everything about him really facilitates this very tough, very strong, really get in the thick of it type gameplay.
Okay, and there's Maya?
So Maya is our siren. In the first game, there was Lilith, who was a siren, and the great thing about Maya is Maya and Lilith play completely different. Whereas Lilith in the first game was about sort of some stealth and some trickery type things, Maya is about controlling the battlefield. So her special ability is called Phase Lock. And what it does is it encases the enemy in an interdimensional bubble and stops them from fighting. So they're effectively stunned and they're out of the fight for a few seconds. Now the other great thing is that this works well in co-op. Now, first thing is if an enemy is hurting a buddy, you can phase lock them and prevent them from taking any damage. But the other thing it does is the enemy, because they're encased in this bubble, they kind of float up above the battlefield, which is kind of like putting a big arrow on them to the rest of the party and saying, hey buddies, shoot this guy right here, he's not moving. Easy target. Now, the other great thing with with her is she has a bunch of skills that modify the phase lock and the way that it works to change the nature of the gameplay. So, for example, she has a skill called Sweet Release. What Sweet Release does is if you can phase lock an enemy and then kill the enemy before phase lock wears off, then it spawns a bunch of like healing orbs, which then fly out and then will track on the nearest friend with low health and heal them. So not only are you picking a target for your buddies, but if your buddies can all successfully finish this guy off, the whole party receives healing. You get kind of it's kind of the icing on the cake sort of thing.
Yeah. And lastly, we have Zero, right?
Yes, Zero the Assassin. So Zero's ability his action skill is called Deception. So what you do is he deploys a hologram of himself, and then he turns invisible. And so now while all the enemies are attacking the hologram, thinking that that's you can then sneak around behind and you can backstab an enemy, or else you can pull out a sniper rifle and you can line up a perfect headshot kind of in safety, or whatever you want to do. The thing that's great about this is that the longer you are invisible, the more damage your next attack does. But the faster you end invisibility, the sooner you can use Deception again. So there's a gameplay choice to be made there. And so, but we'll see with players who want to maximize their damage as they hit Deception, deploy their hologram, they're invisible, they start lining up the shot, and they're watching their time. You can only stay invisible for a few seconds, and they're waiting for the last possible second. Wait for it, and then they pull the trigger and boom, headshot or whatever, which is really tense and really, really fun.
New reveal today was the Mechromancer, and the design principle behind this new character really surprised me, but I think you should probably speak about that.
Yeah. So the Mechromancer, now that the game is done, we're starting work on the Mechromancer. We want to deliver this 5th character class as soon as we possibly can, and if you pre-order the game, you get it for free. And if not, I don't know, we'll sell it to you for some amount of money, whatever that is. So we're still defining what this character is, but we've decided that one of the skill trees, right now we're calling it Best Friends Forever. In the Best Friends Forever skill tree, this is actually about what we're calling, for lack of a better term, girlfriend mode. So if you have a friend who you want to introduce to Borderlands, but maybe they're bad at first-person shooters, i.e. a girlfriend is probably a common example, hence the term. This is, if you want them to play, have them pick the Mechromancer, and the Mechromancer is a really cute character. This is actually where girlfriend mode came from. Like, she's so adorable, like my girlfriend would want to play her. And then direct her to go down the Best Friends Forever skill tree. And it has skills that will help this new player. So for example, one of the first skills you can get is called Close Enough. And what this does is when you miss an enemy with a shot, the bullet will then hit something and it has a chance to ricochet off and hit the enemy anyways and doing damage. So if they're bad at shooting, this can kind of help them to overcome that and get into the game and learn.
Is this what most everyone else calls the cheat button?
Well, we figured out ways to balance and we've got it working well. So it's not going to be overpowered by any measure. It's more to help, like I said, the girlfriend type character. Now, but that's one skill tree. Now, her other 2 skill trees are still totally in flux. We're trying to figure out what they are. But for a lot of our players, they're buying this character because they want more Borderlands. They're not buying this for an introduction to the game. And so one of the other skill trees that we're considering doing, don't have a name for it yet, but we're thinking about having this be really for the hardcore player. Like if you played a lot of Borderlands and really want a completely different, really deep experience, there's a whole tree with just lots of craziness and madness. We're not at a stage where we can talk about any specifics, but now you'd think that these 2 things are really contradictory, and as we've sort of talked through it and gone through the design, we actually think we have some things that make these things work. They nestle in very well together and work well.
When seeing the different characters and skills in combination, it really seems to me that the whole team play has just received a huge upgrade in the sequel. Like in the previous game, it at times at least seemed like it was just as effective to just choose a couple of soldiers and build turrets and go crazy. Whereas in this new game, the benefits of using your skills smartly towards the team seems so much better.
Yeah. Our view on co-op is that co-op is more than just playing in the same space together. It's about changing my behavior and being able to affect and influence each other's gameplay experience, and that's important. So we've done a lot of things in the skill tree to really try to facilitate that type of gameplay. So the siren is a really great example. So she has a skill called, if I can remember the name of it, Which I can't. Okay, well, here we go. So this skill, what it does is this is a new concept in Borderlands 2. We call it a melee override skill. And what it does is it kind of gives you a second action skill if you buy one of these. So you hit the melee button if you have this, and it's really bugging me. I can't think of the name of it. What she does is she throws out an orb of slag. So slag, talked about slag. Slag is our new element. And what this does is it's a really slow-moving energy slag orb. And as it moves past enemies, it will fire out beams of slag and slag them. And so the really skilled player, he tries to get as many enemies together and then throw it. And you don't want to hit him with it. You want to get it to go past him so that you can maximize the amount of slag damage that it deals and the number of enemies that it slags. Now, where this is really great in co-op is that this is a really great opener. Walk into a room full of enemies, you slag them all, and then it's time to knock them all down. And there's examples like that all over all the skill trees to really facilitate that co-op being more than just playing in the same room. It's about interacting with one another and really forming strategies one with another on how to play.
So for this, our final question in our week-long Borderlands 2 competition, we want you to answer us. What was the name of the 4 playable characters from the first game? Save your answer for now and make sure to watch tomorrow where we talk the art of Borderlands 2.